started. So we have 10 people that are joining us online. That's one of the unique things about our firm. We have some visitors here. I'm not going to go through and introduce everybody, but we will maybe at the end, just because we have a full plate. But if you are visiting, I appreciate y'all coming. And there's a lot of risk when I let people come visit. A lot of people say, well, you're letting people visit that are going to go to Keller Williams and ABC Realty. And really, I don't care. I want y'all to come and experience what we offer. And if we're not a fit for you, then go find happiness wherever it is. It might not be me, because I've got people that come to 7 months of training and join another brokerage when they get licensed. And I'm like, what? But again, I don't decide your life. You got to decide it. So anyway, we are going to hit delete on that. So we are going to have these trainings every Friday at noon. I do get here about 10 a.m. every Friday. So anybody that ever wants to come up, I'll be here. And as I say, I always stay till the last person leaves. What's unique about today is tomorrow we have May 1. I'll be sending out our monthly newsletter for May 1 later today. Our agent count's at 250 agents. And the newsletter that comes out will talk about some plans that we have cemented for this year. One is that we'll have a pool party on July 23rd, and that'll be for agents and visitors alike. It's a family event, and it'll be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. There'll be hamburgers, chicken, hot dogs in the front yard with a hamburger man that's been around for like 30 years. He sets up a burger joint in your front yard. And then it's really just a time for fellowship. It's to relax, and your kids can swim, or you can if you have a body like Tim. But if your body's like mine, I keep my shirt on. And then, of course, all the young ones get in to show off their abs, and makes me remind what I looked like about 30 years ago. And then we have ping pong, pool, and billiards and stuff like that. So that's July 23rd, and I'm excited about that. And then yesterday I put a down payment down on a deposit, on our Christmas party, which will be December 2nd. And it's at Glen Eagles Country Club, which is in Plano. It's going to be fully catered with food that they'll do and an open bar. And Dave Wilson is either going to be doing singing or DJ it out. And there'll be a dance floor. It'll be probably 6 p.m. to 11. And my phone shouldn't go off because I hope everybody's there. So I'm going to leave my phone in the car for that night. And it's really just a time for us to all relax. It's not going to be a corporate deal. It's going to be, talking, eating, drinking, if you do drink, and dancing, and then hopefully you don't have a wreck and die on the way home. So if you're really woozy, then I'll go ahead and cover Uber, because I don't want that on me. But anyways, it should be fun, and I always look forward to that. And we will have some announcements on the future of our company in December. And then I always will do probably 5 or 6 awards that are going to be based on my opinion of the people that really caught my eye during the year. And again, when I mention them, it's not going to be to the detriment of anybody else. It's just that I'm not going to pick high producers or who made the most money, because everybody defines success differently. And that's how I have started this company. So if I sold 2 homes and I'm happy with that, well, then that's what's important. And I don't want to say that this agent sold 200 homes and then people are like, oh, Lee, I just, sold 1 home. I wonder what Doug thinks. I think it's great no matter what you sold, as long as you're happy with what you're doing. So we'll do that. And it won't be awards like a trophy to put on a panel. It'll be like a cash, a type of thing. So that's what makes our company a little different. And then Dustin Ray, who's on a closing right now, he has a contact with Topgolf, and that'll be our fall event. That we'll do a Topgolf event, and that'll also be like a bar, and that we'll cover that for everybody. So, we do have a lot of agents that have joined, and I love it. And I think what happens in our company sometimes is that we have a lot of agents that come to DHS, and it's their first brokerage, it's their first stop, and they never been at a different brokerage, so they don't understand kind of how most brokers work. And that is that most brokers, the time to onboard you takes weeks. I know that some takes 36 weeks. Some says you have to go do a 10-day class, 8 to 5, before you can even work with a buyer. And my philosophy has always been that it takes me 36 minutes to get you locked and loaded. And you have to absolutely get out into the workforce. It's basically the workforce. Even though you're self-employed, you got to get out there and you got to get involved in as many social events as you can. You've got to get involved with whatever your passion is. Like Dave, he's a great singer. And so I would imagine that when he gets on stage and other people are like, man, yeah, that's incredible. Like, what do you do when you're not singing? Because I want somebody that has that passion as a realtor. And he's like, oh, I'm a realtor. But Steven, he's a cowboy, he's going to appeal to people. And that's why he's going out to a polo event. He just told me, because he's into horses and his family has a history with like Willow Bend, the polo company. I mean, that's who's going to be his big draw, other than people that he's going to meet, randomly, but it's because it's his passion. So that's really what I wanted to cover. I get about 75 text messages a day, and I do like to answer them all, and I do. But sometimes when I get these questions, they're questions that you kind of should know. You get just another chair. Brandon, will you grab a chair for her? Okay. So there are just some things that we should start to understand, that there's 3 websites that we need that are going to be our backbone in real estate in this company. And by God, the first one is MLS, because that's what's going to do a search for you to find a buyer. The second one is when the buyer looks at you and says, hey, I like this home, Andres, what's the next step? And you go, boom, give me 40 minutes and I'll start sending you some documents, and that's zip forms. And then after we get on the contract, we got to load that transaction in order to get paid in our company, and that's Back Agent. Those 3 websites I have on my phone. I have Back Agent as a website. I've got Zipform Mobile, which is an app, but it's $12 a year, and I can write a contract on my phone. And then I have Back Agent. I have that website on as well. So that's what we're going to kind of cover. And I have, if you see, I have tabs, and I only have 3 tabs because that is what's going to be almost the whole training today. So these are just some questions that I got over the last 7 days. And so maybe it can help y'all when we go over them. So one was just randomly, I got a text message from an agent. And again, I don't pick names or anything. So you're going to hear it if you're here, that I have some of your text messages that we're talking about. You're the only one that knows it, so I'm not going to say any names. But I did have an agent that texted me recently and said, hey, I'm looking at trying to find a property at 4408 Lakeview, and it's not in the MLS. How do I find it? And so I would like to address how to find it if you're going to do it as a listing, or if you're trying to find it to write an offer with a buyer. Will you get another chair? Or somebody move that chair to where it can go right there and you can sit with her leg. So this is the MLS. And I know that there's agents in here right now that I just got their MLS hooked up last night. And they basically joined and paid their board dues yesterday morning. So yesterday morning, we have agents in this room that paid their board dues, and just like that, they're already in the MLS. Okay. And what I told them is that you're going to go to this website, and y'all can move over here if you need to. It's matrix.netrus.net, and matrix.netrus.net is our MLS. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah. So matrix.netrus.net. When you log in to matrix.netrus.net, this is always going to be the way you get in. It's going to be your license number with a 0 in front, and it's going to be your own personal password. The next screen, there's going to be 14 boxes that pop up, and there's 7 on top of 7. And you'll notice that when I tell you what screen's coming, the screen hasn't hit yet. And that's because I like to be able to know what the next screen is in case you call me and you need me not to wait an hour to get to a computer, but I can tell you just like that. And I hope one day that you'll be able to say this when you log in, that, hey, when you log in, you get 14 boxes, 7 on top of 7, and you're looking at the top left corner. That's called Matrix Netrus. And when you click on it, when I tell you that I've cleaned up your MLS, it should look like this on this next screen. The reason why I tell you that I've cleaned up your MLS is so that when you call me, we're both working from a point of reference that I know what you're looking at. And so I will tell you that there is probably the most important square on this is this right here that says search. And if you don't like it in the middle, all you do is put your little thing right there and you can move it around. So I can move it over there if I want it. I like it right here because it's my go-to. So this agent said, hey, 4408 Lakeview, what's a good way to find it? What I always like to do first is I like to see if it's ever been in the MLS since 2003. Because if it was in the MLS since 2003, it's in this system. And so all I have to do is in this square tab right here is I go to street number and I type 4408. And if I just go LAK, it's going to pull up everything since 2003 that starts with 4408 and LAK. And when I hit enter, you're going to see that the home does not pop up. What you're going to see is, Actually, now you do see it come up because the agent just inputted it this morning as a new listing, but it didn't come up earlier. Okay. So right now, let's say it did not come up because this is our agent. She put that listing in this morning. So let's figure out how she found it, because it didn't come up in the MLS until she put it in there for the first time. So again, other than this is the dashboard under My Matrix dashboard. Dashboard is your money. That's where the screen, that's your default screen. So I always like you to know where the dashboard is in case I go, hey, let's go back to the dashboard. So I'm at the same page you are. You're going to go to My Matrix and you're going to hit dashboard. And again, this is your dashboard. So when she had texted me, I said, hey, hover over the search tab. That's going to be your second moneymaker right here. You're going to use this all day long. You're going to go all the way down to public record. And when you go on public record, this is the tax roll. And she told me the city, and I believe it was Frisco, but I'm not positive. Over here, house number, I'm going to put 4408. And then when I go to street name, I'm just going to go Lake, and I'm going to hit the shift and the 8 key. And that wild cards any address in Frisco that starts with 4408 and LAK, it will pull it up. And the reason I put the asterisk is because when you text me Lakeview one word, it could be that you didn't know it was really two words. So I'm not going to go Lakeview one word or Lake space V. I need to just do Lake. Hit the asterisk and know that everything is going to pop up. That's 4408 Lake. And you can see right there, it says matches 1. So all you do is you click on results and you're going to see there's the property. And that's Frisco. This property ID over here is what tells you the property owner's name. So when you click on it, you have the property owner, Juan Buridica. And if you scroll down, you get some general information. Okay, you got the legal description right here. And it says lot 43, block A of Riverdale Point. That would be the subdivision or the addition. You go down and you can see what they're being taxed at last year, 4892 in 2021. You scroll down a little further, and when it says building square footage, that's the square footage the tax roll shows is in the house that's air conditioned, 2,033 square feet. So let's take an example and say that we were going to list this home. We were going to list this home. Well, what you're going to do is here you are back at My Matrix and dashboard, because usually you're going to log into MLS when you call me and go, hey, I need to input this listing. I'm going to tell you to input right there. It's on the far right corner. You're going to ask me, I need to input a listing. And I'm going to say, let's go to input. And when you go to input, what you're going to do is you're going to see this screen and you see right there, it says add new, and you click on it. And then you have to pick what you're about to list. It's either residential, residential income, residential lease, land, or commercial sale lease. It's generally going to be the first one. That's a home. The third one is if you're going to list a landlord's house. And the fourth one is if you're going to list vacant land. So let's just act like we're going to list my house. I'm going to hit residential, and it's going to take me to a screen that says, hey, do you want to input all this shit from zero? Or do you want to try to get some autofilling to where it makes it easier? And so right here at the top, these are your options. Fill from existing listing. That means that you yourself had it listed and it expired and you're putting it back in the MLS. You will be able to copy your own listing, but not if it's somebody else's. Fill from realist tax. That is the same thing as filling from the tax roll. So I click on it. And this screen is where over here, if I highlight any county and I quickly type Collin, it's going to pull up Collin County. And then over here under street number, I'm going to type 8005. And then my address is Fall Meadow. And then I'm going to hit search and see if anything comes up. And you'll see that that's my home. And right here, when I click fill, it takes me right into the MLS, and I'm going to see every tab that I need to fill out to get that home active. And what I like to tell people is you're always going to go to this last tab right now, hit status. It's already marked active, and just hit submit. And now what's going to happen is you see all those red dots and you start left and go right. And when you get all those red exclamation marks gone bye-bye, when you get to remarks and you hit the final page submit, you'll have an MLS number that's active. Okay. So the first screen, you'd go over here and you hit property info. And I would go, property subtype. What is it? Oh, it's a house. Is there a property attached? Yes. What kind of listing do we have? Exclusive right to sell. Everything yellow has to be filled in. Everything white is optional. After I get through filling all this on this first tab, I hit submit, and that red exclamation mark will go away, and I'll be at location of schools, and I'll open it and I'll fill it out, and I'll hit submit at the bottom of that tab. And if it's filled out right, that red exclamation mark will go out. I'll go to rooms, features, lot, all the way to showing and remarks. When I get to remarks and I fill it all out and hit validate, it'll give me an MLS number. I just made that home active. Okay. So again, I'm messing around with my own home. All I have to do is right here. How you doing? All I have to do right here is hit cancel input. And I just canceled it as a practice. So that means that basically, could you go in and act like you're listing your own home? Sure, that's practice. And then just hit what at the end? Cancel input. And you always are getting that training. All right. So that's going to be a way to find the property. Now,
will you show the save as incomplete then?
Yes, in a second. Yeah, for sure. So, but what I want you to know is that I would be doing that. I would find that public record to write an offer. And I would also use the public record to find it to list it, because I always have to print the tax roll, even to write an offer up. All right. So let's act like somebody called me on my own home. I bought my home in 2007. Okay. So let's say that on Zillow, it was still showing active from 2007. Do you think that goes on with Zillow? It sure as hell does. So somebody calls me today. I'm driving down the road. Hey, this is Joe Blow. Can you show me 8005 Fall Meadow Circle? It could be a lead. So I'm going to first say, absolutely, when you want to look at it. That's all I'm going to say. And they're going to go, oh, I don't know. How about tonight? Absolutely. So Andres, you want to look at it tonight at 8 or 7? Oh, 7. All right, cool. What's your cell phone, Andres? Oh, is this it? Do you text? What's your email? Perfect. Have you ever talked to a lender before? I just sent you 3 via text. Are you in a month to month? What's your story? Like, where are you living? Oh yeah, month to month. I'm ready to buy. All right, cool. Well, I'll see you tonight at 7. I get off the phone. I don't even know if the home's available. Okay. But I told him that it was. Now I'm going to log into MLS. And again, this is your dashboard. To make my job easy, I'm going to go right here and I'm going to type 8005. And all I need is fall, or all I need is FA, or all I need is F, or all I need is FAL. Either way, it's going to pull the house up. So right here, all I have is 8005 and an F. I hit enter, and there's going to pull up every home since 2003 that starts with 8005 and an F. And I'm going to hit the search button right here. Every home since 2003 is going to pull up that starts with 8005 and an F. And you can see that if I scroll down right there in 2007, 8005. And again, I just got the call from the buyer wanting to look at it. I can see that it's not available. I'm going to click on the MLS number, which is right there. And when I click on the MLS number, it's going to give me a range of this property, like the year built, the square footage. So first off, am I going to call Andres back and tell him that the home's not available? No. I'm going to go in and do a home search for him of other homes that fit this criteria. So I'm going to go up here to search, knowing in my head that I have this home was 2002 and about 3,500 square foot. I'm going to go residential, detailed, or quick. It doesn't matter. Either one will get you into your search criteria for a buyer search. And right here, it's showing active homes. That's what I want to send. So over here, knowing that that home was at 419,000 in 2007, most likely I'm not going to have anything if I search 0 to 400 in Plano. So I'm going to go 0-600. I'm going to go down here to square footage, and I'm going to go 3,500 and a plus sign. I'm going to go down here to year built, and I'm going to go 2000 and a plus sign. I'm going to go to city, and I'm going to type Plano. And I'm going to have to select it. And you can see there's no homes, and that's crazy. There's no homes in Plano that are 0 to 600, 3,500 square foot minimum, 2,000 year built and newer with the master down. So that means I gotta play with this a little. So I'm going to go down to 2,000 square feet. I'm trying to get him some properties to send. You can see there's 2 now. Does everybody see that? I'm going to probably go down to year built, and I'm going to go 1998, 1987 and newer. The reason why I picked 1987 is because that's the year that ceiling started to be vaulted in DFW. So what I'm trying to do is get him home that is at least as close to being his current day, knowing that if I do 2,000, there's 2, but I just did 1987 and now there's 10.
You said because the ceiling is vaulted?
Yeah, the ceilings were lower in 1986 and older. About 1987 when the ceiling started to be vaulted. So I've had 10 searches, and what we've tried to teach here at this school at DHS Realty is that we're going to hit 3 buttons, and we're going to be on the screen that emails to the buyer. Results, save, new auto email. And I love it when I can hear people say it with me, because that means that they know I'll never have to reply to them when they go, how do I do a home search? Because once you get here, all you do is hit results, save, new auto email. And this screen is where if you scroll to the bottom and hit save, you just emailed it. But you've got to put a client in here. So if it's your first client, you don't have anybody in a drop down. So you have to create them. And you would just simply know that anytime there's yellow, it has to be filled in. So this is going to be under street name. It's going to be Susie Shubri Mymar. And then I've got to put some kind of generic email in here. Hold on a second. Yeah, I will get you. Let me just get through this. So what do you have?
I want you to go back, please.
I will in a second. Let me just explain this. So you're going to hit save, and you're going to put something in the subject line like homes, and then you're going to scroll down. And when you hit save, right now, the default is that once you send this list of properties, the only time the buyer's going to get a new listing is tomorrow at 7 a.m. So I've always said, let's hit ASAP and then hit save. And once you hit save, you just email them. And then you absolutely need to text them and go, hey, you know what? I have 6 p.m. set tonight, but that property is no longer available. But right now in your inbox, I've sent you 10 homes that do fit that same criteria. I could probably show you half of these homes tonight before it gets dark. So if you wanted to keep the same time at 6 p.m., just let me know. And in your email, let me know if you got the properties. Of course, the way I've set your MLS up, Julie, is that when somebody favorites a home, you'll get a text message, because I just did her MLS last night. So if this was her and he opened up any one of those, her phone will go off and it would say his name and that he favorited it. Okay.
Ring, ring.
All right. So go ahead.
Calling. Doug, yeah, I just got your search, and I don't want 3 bedrooms. Can you change that for me? I want only 4 bedrooms with 3 baths.
Yeah. And you would just go in and change it. So there's
Can you
a
do the criteria real quick.
sure.
From where you're at, up the top, left, down, to the right, to the right.
To the left.
To the right.
To the left.
To the left.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, go criteria.
Right.
Okay, so MLS changed, y'all, and I don't know if you guys noticed this, but you see where it says, okay, total bedrooms, let's put 4 plus real quick. Okay, so before we used to just put 3 plus in bathrooms, but now they have full baths and total baths, right? So if you put 3 plus in full baths, you're gonna have a smaller search. So you have to put it in total baths. So do not use full baths at all
Right.
for any of your searches,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
Don't
They
even
have
touch
full
that.
and half the same now under total
So
bath.
just put it in total. So if your client says, well, I want at least 2 baths, then you wanna put 2 plus in total. Don't mess with 4 at all.
Okay, what about if you are looking for 2 floor on 1 single?
Oh, that's level.
That's right here.
there. Yeah, I was looking for that the other day.
Yeah. So that's going to be right here.
Okay, Doug.
So like with, how you doing?
So I'm sorry, I know I'm late, but I forgot my glasses and I'm crazy blind.
Oh no, I'm recording it. So that's good news.
Are you sure?
Oh yeah. Move with somebody. Oh no, you're fine. So yesterday I went with Danielle Certain, and with her, she lists her mom's house. It's a 1.5 story. So that's where you would do that. Okay. Now I would recommend that you don't ever do that. And the reason I say that is because some agents don't know what a 1.5 story is. And so I would just say leave it alone. It's either a single or 2-story. If they say 1.5, then just do everything with a master down if they wanted a master down. And a 1.5 is where you have all the bedrooms down, but when you walk upstairs, it's just like a big ass room with maybe no bath. It's like a big game room. Okay. All right. So, anyways, hopefully that's a little bit of good training on just that one question alone. All right. Another question I had is, when a buyer terminates, what forms do I need? Okay. Well, this is MLS. And again, I said there's 3 main websites that we need. This one is Zip Forms. And this is the website that I go to. There's about 12 ways to get to Zip Forms. I just do it this way because that's what I've known. I also have Zip Form Mobile on my phone as an app. It's $12 a year. It's $12 a year. It's called Zip Form Mobile, not plural. Zip Form Mobile. And everything I'm about to show you, you can do on your phone when you send it to a client. Okay. So you're going to log into texasrealestate.com. In the right corner here, you'll see a login. And you click it, and it should by default have your login criteria, which will be your email and a password. You hit login, and it goes right back to the same screen, and it'll now say, hi, Doug. It'll say, hi, Megan. Hi, Julie. And when you see your name, all you're going to do is click on the Zip Forms on the right. So you can see it says, hi, Doug, and I'm going to hit Zip Forms. At this screen, the screen turns blue. And again, I'm telling you this because this is going to be important for you to know. When the screen turns blue, you only ever hit one tab, and it's the new tab. Because I had a new agent that didn't, and they messed up some of their templates. And there's nothing wrong with that because we're all learning together. And I went in and cleaned it pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, if I'm not steering you wrong, what I'm trying to steer you to is success in the quickest way possible. So the day that this screen opens up after it turns blue, you friggin' hit one button and one button only. And it's the new button, and it's right there. And when you hit it, 5 boxes come up, and we only care about the first 3. You're either going to work with a seller, a buyer, or a lease. That's it. So under this scenario, let's say that I'm working with a seller. I'm going to hit listing. That's seller. And then I absolutely have to name it, Sally Seller. And then I've always said, just select residential, no matter what. If you're working with a lease, a sale, a buyer, I don't care if it's any of those other things right there. Just always pick residential. And then this drop down right here, it says select template. And I have more, but you'll have 3. Buyer, seller, lease. And you simply pick whichever one is the person you're working with. So I just said it was a seller, so that's listing. And then all you do is scroll down and hit save. And the next screen, you're looking at a white summary square. And there it is. And I always say go 2 tabs over to documents. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm trying to make this a little, because we're on a limited time here. When you go 2 tabs over to documents, those are all forms that have been pre-filled. Those have all been pre-filled. Those have all been pre-filled. So really what you have to do is fill in about 3 paragraphs on the listing. You never even have to open the IBS. It's pre-filled. I did that the day you got licensed. I'll do yours before midnight. You're just not in the system yet. So I'm never going to have to open the IBS. If I did, it would have the first 3 lines, broker information, and the last line would say Julie Drake, her license number, her email, and her phone number. She never have to open it. But in order to list a home, we need 3 documents. That one, we don't even have to open, a listing agreement, and about 99% of the time, a seller's disclosure. That's it. In my company, I require those 3 to get paid. So I could just go over here to the seller's disclosure, open it, and print it. And boom, you're done. Obviously, you're going to hit the back button. The green button takes you back to the documents, and you're going to open up the IBS, and you're going to print it. Boom, you're done. The only thing left is this listing agreement. And when you open it, let me explain how it works. This information here, I pre-filled with your information. Now, my wife's name's Shannon. I'm getting her brokerage transactions for her broker's license. So that would normally say DHS Realty. All that'll be the same. But then here, it'll be under phone, his phone number. Under email, it'll be his email. Okay? I don't put my email and my phone number in your listing agreement. I just put the broker address. So for seller, we need the seller's name. And I do all caps just because it's easy and I don't have to work. So Sally Seller. That's it on that paragraph. I scroll down here and there is the lot, block, and addition, which is why I just told you on the tax roll, y'all good? That's why on the tax roll, I said print it because I need that to get the legal description. It's on the tax roll. So let's just say I was looking at the tax roll and it said lot 6, block H, Crystal Creek subdivision. City of Plano, Collin County, known as 123 Easy Street. That's all I've filled in so far. I filled in the seller's name and the legal description. I go to page 2 and most of it's pre-filled. Most homes have an HOA. I already have it marked that there is one. So obviously if you are listing a home with no HOA, unmark it. But 9 out of 10 times, you won't even have to touch that because the home will have an HOA. I like to leave the price blank because I close a listing at the listing. You're not going to e-sign this stuff to a seller. You're going to print it. You're going to knock on the door, see them face to face, do the listing presentation, and they should, when you leave, have initialed the IBS, initialed inside this, and filled out the seller's disclosure. And you came with those 3 and you left with those 3. And as you're driving around, what's in the yard is your sign, and on the door is a blue box. Okay. Now, just to digress for a second, I've decided every quarter I'm going to buy 10 key boxes, and those will be for y'all to use because they're $115 each or something like that. And then every quarter I'm going to order 10 signs. Now, my signs have my name on it, but you just got to know that if you've used them, that when people call, I find out the address and I send it to you. And that's only if you don't want to spend the money for that up front, because sometimes people go buy 10 signs and you only have a listing for 5 years. And then when you get the listing in 5 years, and then when you get the listing, you're not with that broker anymore. But you just bought 10 signs of $1,000 and you have it, they got cobwebs and spiders on them and they're rusted. So, all right, so back to this. All right, bring it back in. So back to this. I do leave the, all right, bring it back in. I do leave the price blank. Right here, when I click on paragraph 4, I pick the day I'm going to meet somebody. So if I was meeting Brandon to list his house tomorrow, I'm going to pick the 30th. And then everybody always asks me, one of the questions on here, how long is the listing agreement for? It's America. It's whatever you want. There is no answer. It's not on the test, because if it was on the test that Megan just passed this morning, if there was a test question and it said, how long do you list a home for? The answer is negotiable, because it's a what? It's a blank. Anything that's a blank, there is no answer for. I know agents that list for a year. I do about 3 months. In this market, 3 months, if it isn't sold, I really don't want it, because that means that I'm going to be beat down by a seller wondering why the neighbor's home sold in a day and I've listed it for 69 days with no offer. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I guess they were superior than me. Or maybe it was that you listed your home 100,000 higher than what their home sold for, and they're identical. I mean, you know, it's priced too high. So when I do go 3 months into the future, I do try to pick the same day. It makes it look uniform. Does that make sense? All right. Here's what I do in my listing. And again, I don't template yours the exact way I do. What I do is make the foundation of it where it protects you. And so I do put 6% here, and that's in all of y'all's listing agreement, pre-filled. All commissions are negotiable. I would argue that that's probably what you're going to have as a default. You can always change it, but it will always be there as a default. So what that means right there is that that's the total commission, which as of right now, it means that 3 goes to the agent that brings the buyer, and I'm getting 3. But let's say that Tim was my brother or dad, and I'm going to list his house because he's not a realtor. He's my freaking relative. I'm not going to charge him anything. So that means that I need to change that to 3%. If I was going to charge him 1%, I'd change that to 4%. If I was going to change it to 5%, meaning I'm taking 2, that would be 5. So right now, the way we have it is it's not a relative. It's probably somebody that's not buying another home from you ever, because probably if they are buying another home from you, you are going to change that maybe to 6 or to 5, because you're trying to give a benefit to the seller. Hey, Tim, here's the deal. Are you going to buy in this area? Yeah, I like Dallas. Well, this home is 600. Are you going to go to a $100,000 house or one probably equal or greater? Well, I'm not living in a $100,000 house. All right. So you've been pre-approved. Oh yeah. For 700. Well, I tell you what, in order to make this really special, I normally charge 6%. but I'll take one away and just charge you 2, and 3 will go to the agent that brings a buyer. Man, you'll do that? Yeah. Matter of fact, here's another one just to make it short. If I'm the only agent, I'll do it for 4. And now y'all are looking at me like, man, I'm really discounting my commission. But again, if there was 2 agents, how much would I be getting? 3. So now there's 1 and I'm getting how much? What's 4 times 6? 24,000? And he's going to buy an equal greater home for me in a month at 600. How much is that? 6 times 3, that's 18, because will he pay that commission next month or will the seller? The seller will. I made 50 grand in one friggin' 30-day period. Shit, I might list this house for 0. I'm not joking. When he tells me he's going to buy a $600,000 house in 30 days and he goes, hey, my buddy will do it for 0, but I like you better than my buddy. Will you match it? I'll go, let's sign this MF for right now. And I'll go grab me a spare key. I'll leave with the sign in the yard. And again, will you ever have to ask me if you can list a home for 0? You sure? Because what do you pay no matter what? Okay, well, that means that you'll never, ever have to call me and go, hey, can I work this deal? You think if you're at another brokerage with a split, that 30% of 0 might hurt them? 30% of 0? Yeah. Okay, so that's why I have 6% here. And that's what Julie Drake's residential listing agreement to sell will look like before midnight tonight. This I put in there, but I almost delete it all the time. And what that means right there is that if I had a bank that wanted me to list a foreclosure, they meet by committee. They're not emotionally involved. I'm going to go ahead and throw my 225 in there and they'll do it. And that means that I really am paying nothing when it closes. But I generally delete that, and that will not be in your template. I don't do that because that is a judgment call. What I've already filled in is it's over. The rest of this document has been pre-filled. As we go down, I have Collin County. That's the broker address, county. I have that you're going to put it in the MLS. I have that we're going to list it with showing time. And let's talk about showing time because that's a question that I have as well. Let me take Danielle Certain as an example. She listed her mom's house yesterday. She lives at that house also. So I was at the house with her and I was like, hey, normally if this was a seller that you didn't have a relationship with, you do want to put it with a professional company called Showing Time, CSS. They charge $50 for the agent to sign up with them as an initial cost. And then every listing that you list with them, it's $40. But it makes you professional because the seller is being called by Showing Time, not by you. And if somebody accidentally texts you, but you're too busy and you don't agree to the showing and a buyer shows it and the seller is naked in the house, you're going to lose that listing because they're going to go, Doug, you never called me for that appointment. I was naked in my house and a buyer walked in, and you'll lose that listing. But not if you use CSS. That's on them if they didn't call because they're the ones that are the only ones making the appointment to do the property. So Showing Time, that's what they call it now. I'm used to it being centralized Showing Time. All right. Either way is fine with me. I keep it like this, Showing Time. But I do explain to the seller that, yeah, that's what we're going to use. With Danielle, I said, don't use them. Because she's a new agent. She just got licensed like 5 days ago. That means she's going to pay $90 just to get her mom's listing with them. And who are they going to call to make the appointment? Danielle, she lives in the house. So I was like, why would you pay $90 to have somebody call you that they're going to call you anyway? So instead, in the MLS, when she put it in, she didn't put contact Showing Time. She said contact who? Herself. And so she'll get a text message. Hey, Danielle, this is Doug Smith with RE/MAX. I'd like to show your house tonight, 6 to 8. And she'll go, boom, good to go. And then she'll look over at her mom and go, hey, we're going to go watch a movie. And she'll look at her sister and say, let's all 3 go watch a movie. And then she gets it shown.
So if, sorry.
Oh, you're
So
good.
if she wasn't like personally involved, you
Right.
would recommend using Showing Time, right?
I would, unless it was this, a lease, and the lease is $1,000 and you're making $250 as a commission. Because that means that basically you're also going to make $250 minus $90 if you've never registered for CSS before. So what you can do on a lease is you can say, hey, Mr. and Miss Seller, I'm going to have the agents text me directly. And you just don't even mention centralized showing system. Yeah. Oh, well, and that's because you're trying to make money, not have it sucked out by, and when the commission on a lease is, does that make sense? When it's at, but for big listings, all day long. It's showing time. Okay. So you don't have to do anything. That's an electronic key box. It's already authorized. Again, this was already pre-filled when I opened it. All right. What is an electronic key box? Well, it's a good question because I had an agent text me yesterday. How do I open one? And again, when you get your board fees paid, they usually go over it with you when they give you the Supra eKey app. But I do know that it's so much information the day that you go into that board that it's almost like when you sign for a house, you don't even know what you signed, that she's watching you push up on the key box and pop it. And you're like, oh yeah, I get it. And then you get in front of a house and that's what happened. As an agent called me yesterday, it's like, what do I do? And I walked him through it. But also after I got off the phone with him, I went to YouTube and this is what I typed in: how to open a Supra eKey box. And there were 5 videos and they were all about 1 to 2 minutes done by Supra systems. And that's what I shared on GroupMe yesterday, which I'm sure that nobody in here clicked on and watched. So I know, right. And so it's funny, but that's such a essential element to make money. And I think it's good for us to know that. So anyways, if I keep going down, there's the 3% that splits the 6 from the beginning. Okay. So again, our market is super crazy right now. All right. Good luck. Congratulations. All right. Our market is super crazy right now. You could probably list a home for 4 and you could say, hey, I think I'm going to take 2 and just offer 2 in the MLS. And I'd argue that probably will get sold in the same amount of time as a house that's offering 3 because there's no homes on the market. You'll never have to okay that with me because I also don't have a policy on it being 3, 2, 1 or whatever. It's your business. So you'll do that on your end. So if that was the case, just to go back right here, we have the 6%. So let's say that it was Tim and I listed it for 4 and I wanted to only pay 2 of that to the other agent. Then I would go back to this page and instead of having 3, I'd have what? 2. And that means that 4 was in the beginning, but 2 is going, you out? All right, be safe. But 2 is going to the buyer's agent and I'm keeping 2. If I had 4, I would put 4 up there, but that would keep it 3. That means I'm only getting 1. All right. Intermediary, you've learned about it in school. We've had a lot of agents that have done intermediary in the last month. Who's done one that I've helped with? Anybody in here? Yeah, Lola. And I mean, I've had 5 agents. Again, intermediary, it's so easy. Well, Shannon Dorfief, that's who it is down at, she's in Bryan College Station. She's done 2 or 3 intermediaries on land down there where it's 6%. And she's like, Doug, should I work with a buyer? I'm like, absolutely. I was like, I'll walk you through it all. And basically it's pretty simple because here's the deal. When she listed the home, what was already authorized? Intermediary. Guess how I have the buyer rep filled? That same box. That means that when you get this sign from a seller, get the buyer rep sign from a buyer, what have you already got authorized? Intermediary. And then there's just one single page that says notice of intermediary. And there's 2 boxes you mark, will appoint or will not. And when it's Shannon by herself, what are we marking? Will not. You get the client to sign an IBS, a buyer rep, a listing agreement, and that notice, and then you just walk forward like everything is copacetic. And they have all closed, and there's been no stress at all. So the neat thing is that you'll never have to go back and change this listing agreement or buyer rep to authorize it because it's already pre-filled. Okay, that's part of your.
And Doug, I just want to add that when I took my GRI class, I didn't know that all brokers don't do that.
Right.
There are some brokers who don't allow
Intermediary. Yeah. Or they try to make it more difficult than it is because they're like the government. They don't trust the individual. And I'll never be like the government here at this company. So I trust you. No, I'm not joking. And we'll lock and load it. Trust me. And I'll get you paid. All right. This is what I do in my little special provisions. I don't template this in yours. This is a business decision that I've always done for about 30 years. If you'll notice in your independent contractor agreement, it says either party can terminate with 1-day notice. And my listing agreement, it says either party can terminate with 1-day notice. And in my buyer rep agreement, it says either party can terminate with 1-day notice. And I've just always believed in that. It's that first line, and it's about that easy. Either party may terminate this agreement with 1-day notice. And then you see that if I was listing Tim's house, that it says this: if Doug Smith is Tim's buyer's agent on his next house, Doug Smith's listing commission is reduced from 6 to 5, which really means to 2, because 3 goes to the other agent. If Doug Smith is the only agent involved, the commission is 4%, intermediary. The last one, if Doug Smith is agent on next home and is under contract before this home closes, transaction fee is waived. Because I had that, remember, as a fee in the beginning, the transaction fee of $225. Okay. All right. You go to the end and it's already pre-filled. Again, you're going to print this and you lock and load. You go to the listing, you knock on the door, you show up, and you have an IBS, you have a listing agreement, you have a seller's disclosure, and then we've already talked about net sheets. You'll do those, and we train on those. All right. So that is zip forms. And again, not to kind of, beat a dead horse, but I like us to always know, just like when y'all said in MLS, that once we get results, we hit results, save new auto email, results, save new auto email, results, save new auto email on MLS, that on this, you're going to hit zip forms. And when the screen turns blue, we hit one button, the new button. And when you hit the new button, 5 boxes come up. And when the 5 boxes come up, you only care about the first 3. So let's do a buyer one real quick. So now we have Tim, he's a buyer. Here's MLS, here's zip forms, and I hit one button, the new button. And when I hit it, that's a seller, that's a buyer, that's a lease. So I'm going to hit buyer. I'm going to name it. I'm going to select residential always. Even if it's a condo, I'm going to select residential. Even if it's industrial, multi-unit, commercial, vacant, other, unlisted, co-op, manufacturer, I'm going to select residential. And what that does is just makes it really easy for everybody. And then I'm going to look for the buyer template, and I see it right there. And then I'm going to hit save. And again, we're going to look for the what? The white summary square, and go 2 tabs over to documents. And again, as you get more advanced with Lola, she will teach you how to pull it from the MLS. I'm just trying to make this a little more quicker. So when I hit documents, I'm going to have 26 forms there pre-filled, just like on the listing side. So will I ever have to open the IBS? No. Do I need to make the customer a client? Yes. What document does it? The buyer rep. When I open it, 2 paragraphs. That's all that needs to be filled in. Paragraph 1 and 4. Right here. Scroll down. Paragraph 4, click on it. Pick today's date. Click on it. Probably pick the end of next month. Hit save. Wait for it to say saved. And you're going to see that when I scroll down to this, it's all pre-filled. Intermediary. Now, somebody had mentioned about the commission. What I've done here is I pre-filled that you're going to get 3% and 50 on a lease. Sometimes a buyer looks at this and say, whoa, whoa, whoa. You told me that the seller was paying your commission. Why am I paying 3%? I'm not comfortable with that. And then you say, well, let's read 11B. It says broker will seek to obtain payment of the commission specified in paragraph 11A, first from the seller, landlord, or their agents. But if they don't get what's outlined in 11A, then it goes back to the buyer tenant. Okay, does that make sense? Now, if you're working with a family friend or somebody and you see in the MLS they're only offering 1.5 and your buyer rep says 3, just freaking go delete it. Because that's not going to be something you're going to hold a buyer to if they're a family friend. If there's a buyer that looks at this and you know they're going to work with you, but they want that blank, and you know you're working with them with builders and pre-owns, just freaking delete it. It's not, you don't die on that battle. That hill is not a hill to die on, because you're going to get paid on a builder through them. Now, you might not get 3% because builders, right? But my point is, it's very uncommon to push that back to a buyer. Now, you might, but a lot of times a buyer's like, dude, I want to buy a home and not have to pay you. I'm already paying closing costs and all that crap. And the whole reason I picked you is I thought that the seller pays my fee or the builder does. I mean, that's what you told me when I talked to you a month ago in that buyer meeting that we had. And you're like, well, that's true. And so, 36 months ago, Meritage was paying 6% and a $6,000 bonus. And today they're paying 1%, like David was saying. And so, you know what? It's a product of the market. There's no inventory. It will change. But for right now, you do your business plan. And if you want to hold them to the 3 and the builder's paying you 1, that means the buyer will pay you 2. And I'll walk you through on how to do that because it'll be done at the title company. All right. But again, this is completely filled in, this document. And there's that either party can terminate with 1 day notice. Okay. That's your call. But I can tell you that number one, if a buyer is ever interviewing multiple agents and you can point to that and go, hey, here's the deal, man. I just think you ought to live your best life. And if you're not happy with me, don't do me any favors. I'm going to find buyers. I'm not worried about it. But I don't also want to hook you into working with me for 3 months when you hate me. So if you don't like me, move on. Oh, by the way, are you interviewing other agents tomorrow? Oh, yeah. Well, I would demand nothing less than that statement in there. And that's going to put a lot of agents on the defensive tomorrow when they've never even seen that before. Or their broker doesn't allow it. Their broker doesn't allow it. And I don't micromanage like that. Okay. And then, of course, at the very end, you have it already pre-filled. All right. Yeah.
Can you answer one question? This is really for everybody.
Yes.
If you have a buyer or if you have an applicant for a lease who wants to, like, say that it's a $1 lease and your client wants to give you some money because you've helped them and they've really appreciated that, how do you instruct that client to pay you?
Sure. So as we know, everything's got to go through who?
You.
Me. Not me, Doug Smith, but me, DHS Realty.
Yeah.
So the way you would do it, and again, this will be on the next screen or the next website. It's going to be on Back Agent, which is our intra-office website. And I'm going to walk you through the first time you do it a few times until you get comfortable. But at a certain page on our intra-office website is where you put in your total commission. And it immediately deducts $225 out for DHS. And then minus your total commission or minus $225 from your total commission, it shows that Julie Drake is getting the difference. There's a little drop down that if you click, it says contribution to buyer. Up where it shows the commission, I think there's a tab that says to be paid out by buyer. So, but yeah, you're not supposed to get, like Lola got $500 cash from somebody at closing that she helped. And that was fine, but again, if it was in the form of a bigger amount or something like at closing specifically, because this was just outside of closing, then he was like, hey, thanks for your hard work. Here's a gift card or whatever. If it's actually the buyer paying your commission, then yeah, it'll be what Dave's talking about. And I'd walk you through that. It would have to be on the CDA, and because that really also guarantees that you're going to get paid at closing. Right. All right. So let's just talk about, I think we're good on MLS, and I do have on my YouTube page, I've kind of tried to clean it up. I have a playlist, and I've told y'all you've seen me posting. I would argue that, when you get licensed, the person you're probably going to work most with first is a buyer and a tenant. So what I would do is I would pound those buyer videos. I would then pound the tenant videos. I would then pound the seller videos, and I'd probably do landlord last. Because statistically, who you're going to work with first is a buyer. And then after a buyer, it'll be a tenant, and then it'll be a seller. Okay. So let's say that you're in zip forms. And so let me go back. Let's say you're in zip forms and you have a transaction. So you hit zip forms and the screen turns blue, and you have a transaction you've already created, and you're now under contract and you're looking for the amendment because you have to change the price. You have to ask for closing costs. So I'm going to pick a transaction I've already got. So let's say, who was the buyer there? So Tim. So let's say that Tim was my transaction. I'm going to see it there, and all I do is click on it. It takes me again to the white summary square. I just go 2 tabs over to documents. Just always remember that. Summary, 2 tabs to the right to documents. Well, the neat thing is I already have the amendment in here. If you scroll down, you'll see right there is an amendment. But let's say that this property has propane. This property that Tim's buying has propane, and somehow we forgot to get the propane addendum. I do not have the propane addendum in here because it's not commonly used. So now you've got to find the propane addendum. And I'll tell you how to find it like that, no matter where I'm at. And this is what I'm going to say. You call me, I'm like, hey, what's up? What's up, Doug? Hey, not much. Hey, Doug, it's Tim. Hey, where do I find the propane addendum? I need to get one. Oh, okay. We'll log into Zip Forms, click on the transaction. You'll be at a white summary square. Go 2 tabs over to what? Documents. Go in the right corner and hit that Forms tab. Inside the Forms tab, there's another drop down. You've got to click it. It says select libraries or form libraries and pick all. And then it's dummy proof. All you do is type PRO. and you start looking down, and of course, if you know propane starts with P-R-O-P, you add the P, and you scroll down, and you will find an addendum for propane. Yeah, I know. I'm going to spell it out so we will know, because I think, I know, but I don't see it because I'm old. You're too young. All right, so you see it right there. You see it right there. Okay, so here we go. You see it, and what you do is you hover over it, and I'm going to tell you this, hover over it and double click. Now, when I double click, watch the middle of the screen. That little thing right there means it just got added. So now I red X, and it's going to be the last form at the bottom. And there it is. All right. Somebody had asked me, hey, do we have anything we can send to a buyer, like how to pick a realtor? You know, they're asking if DHS does. And I go, no, I don't. I go, but SIPForms does. So what you do is right here, again, you have to have selected select library, and you have to pick all. And then you could just type in realtor. And what you're going to see is everything that ever starts with realtor. You could go back here and you could type in buyer, and you'll see everything that a buyer could possibly have as a title. And if you scroll down, you'll see things that are really generic, like the reasons to buy it, 7 reasons to buy a home. What if I just put buy? Maybe that's even better. But if you scroll down, you'll see things that you can double click on, and you can make like a home buyer packet with like notice of information pages. For instance, this one is called a general notice. Well, you'll see it right here. I already have it. That's what I was looking for. Yeah, I already have it in here. I think that's why. So right here, general info and notice to buyer. Okay, watch when I open it. It's like 12 pages, and it has every definition that you could use in real estate. If you made a home buyer packet and put that in it alone, that's pretty badass. How about this? A home buyer packet with a cover page, real generic, like tax guide. You open up the packet and it's got your bio. You turn the page, it's got your resume. You turn the page, it's got the IBS. You turn the page and it has a buyer rep templated. And in paragraph 1, it doesn't say Tim Ward, but it says your name goes here, and you print it. You turn the page and you have the general information notice. It's friggin' 11 pages. It's 5 pages. That's enough of a home buyer packet that you could print at truly title, stamp, and you could give that out to everybody you ever meet. And it just gets them to know you. Okay. But again, like Lola said, and I've seen it, I think it's because yeah, I think I already have it in here. Yeah, see, I do. Oh, I don't. Yeah. All right. What's over there? It'd be over here then. And then you scroll down and you'll see, I mean, there's all kinds of things.
Do you have farm and ranch?
Farm and ranch, we do have the farm and ranch contract. Now, what I do is I template that for all the agents, not farm and ranch, but I do 1 to 4 family, unimproved, and condo. So what happens is if you're in a farm and ranch, and I'll just use this as an example. Let me just show you. So let's say that you're about to do a farm and ranch, and you text me and you go, hey, I need a farm and ranch contract. Instead of you filling out from blank, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you to text me your login to Texas Realtors SIPForms, and I'm going to go into your template. I don't want anybody to ever do this. I go into your template. I go to buyer template, and these are the forms that I've done for you. I go to the right corner. I hit all forms. I have the library selected. I type in ranch. There's the farm and ranch. I double click it. It moves it over. I red X, and then I scroll to the bottom and I template it for you. Then I log out. I tell you to log out of your system and log back in, and now you'll have it. Okay. I don't want anybody, in my opinion, I don't want anybody ever to look up and see this screen, because that means we have done screwed the pooch. What you've done is you've gone into templates, you've filled out an offer, and now you made that offer your template for every future offer, which means I'm going to be very frustrated because I'm the one that's going to clean up that. And I've already done it for you the first time. And when I do it, I send you a little text and it says, hey, you're officially up. Here's your website. Here's your login. When you log in, hit 1 button called the new button. And then when you tell me that your templates are messed up, I'm going to go, how did you get to templates? Because there's no human way to get to templates, because when you log in by default, that is green. When you log in as a default to Zip Forms, that transaction is green. You cannot get into templates unless you do it yourself. So that's why I say that all you do is hit the new tab every time you log in. If you do a lot of farm and ranch, or if you, let's say that Tim lived out in the boonies and he was like, man, I'm always going to be doing propane and septic, then I would probably say, let me just fill them in for you. So I know that when he goes into transactions and new and the buyer template, that he will have those forms. Whereas I won't have it for you if most of your business is in DFW. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so again, this is going to be the way to always find a transaction. You good? Always find a transaction. So let's take Sally Seller. So I log in, I click on her name, and here I am. I'm at the summary tab. I go 2 tabs over to documents, and you can see that there's not a septic sewer disclosure here. And let's say that I'm about to go list Chris's house and I need one. I'm going to go up here to the right corner. And of course I can do this also. I can do SEP. It's not in there because I need to go over here to all forms. So I go to all forms, make sure that library is there, select all. And then right here, all I do is type in sewer, like so, SEW, like I'm going to sow address. And there it is. Because what it does is it dummy proofs it. All you got to do is have the first 3 letters of whatever title, and it pulls it up. When I double click, I just moved it. See, it popped right there. Okay. So that's a way to always find it. All right. The last thing I want to cover is back agent. I did some things to it this morning, and then I'm going to answer some of these questions, and training will be over about 1:30. All right. And get pizza if you got to go or whatever. And there's cupcakes over there. All right. So this is called our back agent. This is our intra-office website. I send you 4 emails when you get onboarded. I send you a PDF. I send you a newsletter also. I send you back agent. I send you Op City, which is realtor.com leads, and I send you forewarn. So this is back agent. And this is the website that I put on my phone, dhsrealty.backagent.net. I use that website all day long. Okay. So when I enter into it, this is your screen, and you're going to have your login. And once you log in, you're at the same screen that I'm looking at next. And this is a screen that everybody has. So here's what we do. You're going to learn this tab, and this tab. That's really all you need here. That's where you load a transaction. Super easy. I'll walk you through it. This is where you find people. So when you text me and go, hey, what's Andre's number? Well, I got to do what you could have done. And so I do it because I can do it real quick and it doesn't bother me. But eventually it will bother me if you've been with our company for a while and you don't know the benefits that we offer. So this is an intra-office website, part of my onboarding, taking Julie as an example. When she came on board, in 5 minutes, I had all 4 emails to her and she was already in this system. So if you text me today, hey, Julie does staging, can I get her number? I'm going to give it to you, but I could say, go to back agent, hit people and type in her name. And you're like, what do you mean? That's too easy. I know, it's crazy.
You just wasted time texting him.
Yeah. So all you do is go right here to people. And of course you would have to know English and read right here. It says first name, and watch this, JU. Everybody with a JU pulls up. I mean, it's dummy proof. All this stuff is dummy proof on spelling. Erica. Well, what's Erica's number? Is it with a C or a K? I don't know, but I know it's ERI. Look at that. We got an Eric Garcia, Erica DePriest, Erica. So there we got 2 Ericas, one's with a C, one with a K. Super easy. Let's say that you only knew their last name. You just hit that little dot there. And you're like, what's Doug's last name? I mean, that's going to be a problem for you if you don't know my last name. You hit Smith and you can see we got a lot of Smiths. Okay. So I think that's pretty cool. All right. So again, here you are. You always, when you log into Back Agent, this is the screen you're always at. This is where you find people. And this one, I think is pretty cool. You click on Office and Documents. And you are at what I call Quick Resources. And if you click on Quick Resources, you're going to get a single list of everything that we have in our Back Agent that can help you. So look at the first one. I just had an agent this morning text me, where's our W-9? And again, it's right here. It's the first thing under just office documents, office documents, office documents. That's it. If you scroll down, I've got every logo that you could possibly want if you want to use our logo. But at our company, you can use your what? You can use your own. All right. If you scroll down, there's going to be little things that say new. So I'm going to draw your attention to the referral form. We use that a lot because you can refer anybody in America or where there's real estate. So I'm trying to think of who was in here that said they were from the Northeast or something. I mean, you could get in touch with all your friends in the Northeast and go, hey, I just got my license in Texas. Crazy, but I can help you more in Texas than an agent could help you in your own community. Because I have access to a top 1% of realtors in the nation called CRS. And I can find you a CRS in Libertyville, Illinois. And I know you have a quality agent. So you go on Google and what would you type? CRS agent in Libertyville, Illinois. And you would get a list of probably 40 people. And you would get in touch with each of them and get a comfort level. If I knew Stephen was my client and I had a guy that was a city slicker and a guy that was a rodeo cowboy king, who would I probably refer him to? The rodeo cowboy king, because I know my client and I want them to hit it off because I'm going to ask that agent for a 30% referral. Okay. That's the form that you do it on. The first form that I said at the top, you're going to use that on every lease. Every apartment wants that. And every agent that works for a brokerage firm where they're on the landlord side, they will need our company's W-9. So that's it right there. And then down right around the middle, you have the sign-in sheet. That's for open houses and the referral form. Now, what I just loaded was right here, DHS Realty Miscellaneous. And I skipped making the capitals. So watch when I click on this now, because I'm going to be telling y'all this is where you find it. You're going to click on it and it's going to open up a Word document after you open it. And it's going to be a list of all of our sponsors, and so we have Brooks, we have, I just got to figure out where it opens.
That's
right
the
here.
list that you sent in the group, right?
I sent it in the group me, but what I find is that people don't put it in their phone. Yeah, they need to, but I can't force them to.
Save it in your notepad.
So now you'll know that when you text me, what am I going to say? Back agent, office documents. And when you scroll up and down, you'll see that at the very top, it starts with what we've always had. These are our big sponsors. We have Kevin Badger's here with Brooks Lending, and he's a veteran, and he does a lot of loans for Truly Title. So when you go, hey, who's the closer at Truly Title? Boom. Oh, what's the address? Boom. Okay. If you go down, hey, who's our insurance person that we recommend? Alan Badger. Hey, who does photography? Brandon Stevens. Who's our inspector? Mark Serios. Hey, what's a badass property management company? Oh, look at that, Bill Sabino. Hey, who's a good roofer? Hey, how about an electrician? Oh, who does printing and signs? Is there a good repair guy? Now, this guy, Don Wadrup, I've known him for 30 years. He's a repair guy. He has no hands. He's the best repair person you'll ever find in your life. And Danielle Certain used him, and her mom and her fell in love with him. So he is an incredible repair guy. He will go out to a house and he will not charge you to give you a bid. And the bids are lower than anybody in the world. And all you have to do is have a listening ear because he loves to talk. And that's what they said. Man, Don can talk. And I was like, I thought I told you that. But I love Don. But he is incredible. Don Wadrup. What about a home warranty company? RSC stands for Residential Service Contract. Oh, do y'all know a structural engineer that doesn't charge me anything to go out and look at a house? Ken does with Structured Foundation.
How about surveyors?
Surveyors will get from the title company. That's kind of a hard one because surveyors usually are hired by a title company for the contracts. So I don't have any on here, but we'll add one. And
I needed one this morning.
Yeah, did you call?
I called Truly Title and they gave me one.
Okay, well then I'll probably just let you text me them and I'll add them.
Can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Because I'm not licensed yet.
Right.
My
You're busy.
mailman, I'm always we're always meeting, and he wants me to help him. So he owns 2 acres.
Okay.
Right? And he has one loan on the house, on the property as well.
The 2 acres?
Yeah, of 144. the house they built was like 20 years old already,
Okay,
but he wants to give that one to his kids or possibly rent it out, and he wants to build on the second lot of
Okay,
his property.
I got you.
You know, but I told him he needs to start off with the surveyor first, you know, but I don't want him, after that, I felt like he kind of got a little, because surveys are anywhere from 300 to 700, you know?
Yeah.
And then I'm not licensed, so I don't want to do anything.
Well,
I'm
what we'll
not
do
supposed
is
to.
before we leave,
Uh-huh.
and you can do it with or without me, but Dave will walk you in to talk to Roxanne.
Okay,
She's a title person,
uh-huh,
and you might not even have to do the survey right now,
okay.
because if
If
it's
I
his
can
own
save-
land,
exactly. If I
and
can
it's a
save him that
relative,
money,
yeah.
and I felt
Dave,
him
will you
get,
help her with Roxanne and a
and I don't
surveyor?
want him to like pace away from me
I got
because
you.
of that.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, and then Baja Savage, she heads our commercial department. Natasha Dimbla, she was a Girl Scout with my daughter when she was 12. I kept looking at you like you had kids, girls, but you have Wyatt. She's a family friend and her kids are the same age as ours. But anyways, Natasha Dimbla, she was a Girl Scout with my daughter. She's about 23. She does really well with apartments. Like I cut checks to her almost every day for apartments. So I always like to have her be the go-to when you ask me about apartment locating, and they know that people will be calling them. So they're part of our kind of extended branch of DHS to help with those specific fields. Okay. Baja is a type A personality. I don't even know if she's on, but she'll attest to the fact that she's type A, like me and Lola. And you got to put on the seatbelt when you talk to her, because she locks and loads. She's busy. She's very successful. She's just a great person. And I have complete confidence in her on the commercial side. DHS tax ID, you're going to need that when you go to a builder. And that is it. It says tax ID. That's DHS Realty Office Code, DHS 01C. I did it again there. That's my broker license number for DHS. And then right below there, you have the address. And then down here, I think I just have a signature. So anyways, that's going to be important on back agent. All right. So with the remaining time, I have 15 minutes. I'm going to now, because we covered this, I'm going to answer these questions that I got over the last 7 days. And I'm just going to tell you what websites we would go to. All right. So this was an agent that said, how long is an offer good before it expires? As a seller, I just received an offer, but I want to wait till the weekend to respond. So this is an agent that listed a home yesterday. They got an offer this morning, but they feel like they're going to get an offer well above it, and they don't want to respond to this one. And so what I told them to do is text back the agent, and I actually texted them what to text. They just copy and pasted it. And it just said something like this. Hey, Tim, it's Doug. Thank you for the offer. My seller really appreciates it. However, we're getting blown up with showings, and my sellers decided to make their highest and best final due 10 p.m. Sunday. So we appreciate the offer, but I did want to give you an opportunity to make your highest and best. If this offer is the same as your highest and best, just text me back that offer stays the same. But if not, go ahead and bring us an offer for your highest and best. And what my seller's telling me would look really good, but she can't commit to, would be a conventional loan with 20% down, a full appraisal waiver, any traditional seller costs to be paid by the buyer, i.e. title. My seller doesn't have a survey, so buyer pays survey, no home warranty in 7H. And my seller also needs 2 weeks, so a free lease back would be golden. But again, we can't commit to anything, but make your highest and best is 2x10. Boom. Copy and paste it to every friggin' agent that brings an offer. You're not making sides. Everybody's getting the same thing. And the last thing you ever want to do is counter an offer in writing and send it back to that agent, because they can hold it for really as long as they feel comfortable. And if you got another offer that was better, you got to wait for them to counter before you can accept that one. So you want to protect your seller in that situation. And in this market, with the way offers are coming in at, now there is a form that's in zip forms, and it's kind of weird. It's a politically correct way to say we've rejected your offer. It's something like seller invitation for a new offer. And you basically can fill it out with exactly what I just said. You can almost make it like a template, and you can send it to every agent. And it's not a counter. It's a rejection, but it says on it what are good, acceptable terms. What you
I
got?
got a question.
Yeah.
So I have a client, I'm representing a tenant. Okay.
Okay.
This is live right now.
Yeah.
The listing agent is telling me I need to send my client the lease to sign. I've never done that. Isn't he supposed to?
Usually, because you want to know what the landlord wants as the terms.
Well,
Yeah.
he's already written up the lease and everything, but he sent it to me.
Oh,
Isn't the agent supposed to send it to the client to sign once they get the money?
okay, so on the lease, you're with the tenant. They should send it to you first to get it signed. Then you send it over to the landlord agent. The landlord gets it signed, and that's when at that point,
It's like a cell.
then the commissions are due.
So
Or
I
the-
need to send it to my client.
Well, he sent it to you,
sign.
right? As a
He sent it
PDF?
to me to review it,
Okay,
so I need to send it to her to sign, but
Right.
I've never done that. All leases I've done, they always send it to the
You can
client.
drop it into zip forms. to
I
give your
Oh, yeah,
already
he
client-
know,
knows that,
I
yeah.
already know how to do it. My question is,
yeah,
I didn't think
yeah,
that
it is.
we're supposed to.
It's negotiable. I mean, it's one of
Okay.
those where it's not set in stone, but now sometimes when it's online, like, www.applyhere.com, they're gonna do it that way. All right, okay, so back agent. I mean, I just got a question that said, how do you log into back agent? It's one of the 4 emails you'll get when you join our company, so you'll have a login. What's the website for MLS? I got that just the other day to put on their phone. Matrix.netrus.net. It's the same website that is the website. You just, Put it as a- yeah, and you put it as a home screen. Back agent is, yeah, back agent is this, where we had everything.
Okay.
Okay, so when you come on, if you came on board with us, I send you 4 emails. The second email is this,
Okay.
and you log in and yeah.
Okay.
And then I had somebody text me the other day, what's forewarn? We're almost done. What's forewarn? Well, I send 4 emails out. The last email is called forewarn. It's a free app that you get. I pay it, where you can put in somebody's phone number and it'll tell you the criminal history. That is an app, so it's not a website, and I use it almost every day. So if you do facial recognition, which Lola taught me last week, then you don't have to worry about putting your email into, open it up and log in. But forewarn. Okay, yesterday somebody said, hey, I need to register for Op City. They've been with me for a whole year. Well, I got it in June, and when I got it, I sent the email to everybody. So again, you've got to check your emails. Are you heading out, Lindsay?
Yeah.
All right, good seeing you. All right, Op City is owned by Realtor.com. So one of the emails when I onboard you is from Realtor.com, but it is Op City, okay? And when you log in, and maybe Lola can say, but I think you log in, you put your address, you pick as far away from your house as you can go, and you don't do any criteria unless you get a little more experience where you're picky. You want everything to come in because it just increases your experience and it makes you mentally be strong that your phone's going off and you're actually, instead of just sitting at home playing Fortnite. Pretty regularly, I get agents that text me and say, hey, did you get my lease check? And again, let me explain how leases work. The broker that represents the landlord, they pay our agent if our agent's with a tenant. But they pay our agent through writing me the check. And it comes to my house, which is the broker address, and I don't go to bed till midnight, and the mailman comes way before then, and I cut every check that day and put it back in the mailbox to go to you if I get that check that day. The problem is that some of these brokers, when they send me a lease check, it has no address on it. So if you've noticed on GroupMe, when I text and I'm like, hey, I got a $494 check, no address, text me so I can hook it up with back agent. Well, here's what I'm really trying to do. I log into back agent, okay? And I have to go to transactions. And my transaction shows everybody's transaction. So I have to close this out because my accountant is going to find the closed transactions to know how to 1099 you at the end of the year. So I have to match it up. So I get a check and it says $494 with no address on it. I've got to put on GroupMe like, hey, I got a $494 check. Who's it for? And then when you say, oh, it's for Swanner Lane, then what I do is I go into transactions and I go right here and I type Swanner and I hit enter and then I see the property and then I close it out. But I won't know to close it out if the check doesn't have an address on it. The neat thing about our company is on sales, this would never happen because we table fund. And that means that you get paid the day it closes. Justin Ray has a closing. He's over here right now. And he goes, I wonder when it'll close. I was like, before we leave. And I was like, check will be made out to you. Like she'll give me a check for $225 and they'll give him a check for whatever his commission is. But it's not ever made out to DHS Realty. It's always made out to you at the table. So what I would recommend is that you get it wired to your checking account and that way there's no hold on it. But if you get a cashier's check or you get a check from the title company, sometimes it's good to like take a picture because you're like, man, this is my first transaction. Like, this is super cool. I had my first from 1994. All right, so that's how that's done. All right, let me just do a couple of these real quick. But just know this, that when I get checks, I cut them the same day I get them. Now, if I get 15 checks in one day, I'm not going to text 15 people individually and go, hey, do you want me to mail it or do you want to pick it up on my front porch? Because I have a mailbox in my brick and I have a code I give you and the check would be in there. But if there's only 2 checks, I'm going to say, hey, Tim, you want to pick it up? You want to mail it to you? I just don't have the time to, eventually I'm going to be getting 100 checks a day. And I go through, I'm real efficient. I get them boom, boom, boom. I put them all in the mail and they go out the next day. And let me just explain something about checks from another broker. Most brokers hold those checks to make sure they clear, and I don't. So even if I mailed it, you're getting it 7 days before any other broker would ever send it to you because most brokers wait for it to clear and then they mail it to you. And I just believe that y'all want your money as soon as it's ready, and I'm gonna make that happen. How do I terminate a listing? Okay, you have a seller that hates you and they want out of the listing, or you hate them. And number one, it's going to be by mutual agreement. You're going to have to get them to okay it. And then once they say, I want out, in zip forms, there's a termination of listing. They sign it. And then you text me and go, I've got it signed, terminate it. Because I'm the only one that can terminate listings. And I will do it while I'm driving down the road.
And they have to sign it.
They have to sign it because we don't want to terminate it and then say, oh, I never told you to terminate it. So and it's just a simple, it's a document that I would tell you how to get it, termination of listing. They sign it, it's dated, boom, it's effective. Once I get that, literally in 1 second, I go in and terminate it. All right, this is one that I just got on an agent. She has a listing. It's under contract. It was under contract with an active option. And the day she texted me, it was 2 p.m. and the option terminated at 5 p.m. in 3 hours. And she's with the seller. So another agent texted her. Good morning. I'm checking on the status of 123 Easy Street. I see option is up today. Do you foresee any hiccups? Wanted to write a backup. And she texts me, what do I reply? And I go, well, you don't even have to reply if you don't want to. Because again, just because somebody texts you doesn't mean you have to reply. It's active option. The agent knew it was going to expire in 3 hours. And in 3 hours, it was going to go to pending in the MLS. But you could just reply back and go, yeah, it looks good. Don't waste your time. Oh, you could also get in touch with the seller. Hey, Julie, there's an agent that wants to do a backup. Just so you know, the one we have now, it looks solid, minus death. It's going to happen. Do you want a backup or do you want to just say no? I don't want to mess with it anymore. I'm good on this one. So again, just because an agent texts you doesn't mean that you have to answer. My Supra, that's not going to be the best. You do want an answer, but I'm just saying that my Supra E-key isn't working. What do I do? Well, on your Supra E-key app, there's a little phone number and you'll have to call them. It'll be Supra and just say, hey, my key card isn't working. It's an app and they'll figure it out, but there's nothing that I'll be able to do on that. My MLS isn't working. What do I do? That's probably because you didn't pay your MLS dues. And I always get that right about 4 days after each quarter, because when people don't, hey, Kay, be safe. Hey, super proud of you for your closing.
Congratulations.
So anyways, Collin County Association of Realtors, that is where I have our MLS, and they will always have the answers. And there's a guy named Terry Smith there. He and I are really good friends. So it's always good to name drop me when you call there, because you'll get answers quicker, because I'm polite and I send them treats and stuff like that. Because I knew they do a lot of onboarding for us there. So you would just call and you say, hey, the MLS department, they would switch you there, and a guy would answer probably, hey, this is Terry, how can I help you? And just be really nice and he'll give you an answer. If your MLS isn't working, they'll look you up and say, oh, you haven't paid your MLS. If there's an issue, there's nothing that I can do though. How do I submit a transaction? We've already talked about that. And then probably the one I'm going to end on is I've been talked down to by another agent. What do I do? Well, what happens if Showru's in here, or did he leave? All right. So this happened yesterday. Showru made an offer on a house, and underneath the signature of the agent, well, there's no signature of the agent. Underneath the agent page, there was no commission put in there. And it should have been 3%, but there's no commission in there. But that doesn't dictate your commission anyways. The MLS does. Whatever's in the MLS is what you get paid on. So this agent had sent him a few text messages that Showru texted me. Very disrespectful. And it was like, hey, you should know better. I can't believe you didn't. What, are you doing this for free? I shouldn't have to remind you again. You need to send me over an amendment. And just continued. And Showroom's a young guy. He's a really good agent. He's young. And so I told Showroom to give me the phone number of the agent. And the agents got a call from me, and it just went something like this. Hey, Tim, this is Doug. I'm DHS Realty broker owner. I go, are you working with my agent right now, Showroom? And Tim was like, yeah. And this is really how the guy talked. He's like, yeah. I was like, I go, does it make you feel good to demean my agent because you have your license that starts with 053? And I said, his starts with 078. And he's like, well, yeah, I don't want him working for free. I go, well, newsflash, he's not. I was like, because that's not even part of the contract. I was like, that's why it's after the signature of the buyer and the seller. And we're not parties to the contract. And I go, and if you read it or your broker trained you, I go, you'd see that it says pursuant to MLS rules, your commission is blank. And I go, it's just disclosing, but it's not obligating. And I was like, he'll get 3%. And I go, we won't be doing an amendment. And I go, the next time you want to talk down to somebody, I go, really the person that looks like the big a-hole is you, because with your experience, I just had an agent that knew more than you did. And so anyways, he ended up, when I got off the phone with him, he texted me and copied Showroom and said, I apologize. I did get off the phone with my broker right now who really doesn't train us. And I never knew that about the MLS dictating. Oh, no, I'm not joking. But then he did say,
What broker
but
was that?
I don't know. But then he did say, I don't appreciate what you called me. And so I replied back with Showroom and I go, I call it like it is. And I said, I'm glad that your broker told you, but the point is that Showroom felt really like somebody had his back. And
Because somebody did.
And I'll end on this. And I don't know if y'all have seen on social media that there's this lady going around parts of Rockwall, and I'm not even gonna say the name because I don't even want to get involved since it's recording. But we have an agent that's one of my top agents in the Rockwall Forney area. She went in about a year ago with a buyer to a builder, got signed in, has an IBS, has a buyer rep, committed to giving her a part of her commission back to the buyer. And after the fact, the buyer found an agent that would give more back and wanted to go to my agent and ask for more commission back. And she said no. So she's filed all kinds of complaints, even with Trek, as a Trek complaint, which I have had an investigator call me. And Trek has basically made a decision. It just can't be finalized for 9 months because that's how backlogged they are. And this home's going to close well before 9 months. And it's going to be very favorable to, I believe, my agent. But the fact that the closing is happening in 3 weeks, but the decision is not for 9, they're trying to put peer pressure around on these different little open groups. And just don't be this agent. This morning, I got a text messenger to me after they saw the post about our training today. I don't even know this person. And it said just simply, I hear you're a bad guy. And I replied back privately. I go, you probably also heard there wasn't a Holocaust. I said, don't always believe what you hear. And the fact is that they're going to be a lot of I can't please everybody, and I'm going to fight for you guys. And you're going to find that in the course of your real estate career, that a buyer is going to be upset with you and they're going to make these accusations. And if they call me, what I'm going to say is, let me hear your side of the story and let me call my agent and I'll get back with you. And that's what I did. And once I called my agent and I got an IBS sign and I got a buyer rep sign and I called the builder and they said that my agent was there next to the buyer when they wrote a contract, that if the contract was executed and my agent's name is on it, then I realized that that's fact and that was emotion. And then I just chose to block everything about that person on social media. So I don't even see it. And I would argue that you need to do the same. People that are going to bring you down, you need to just block them out of your life, because people start to see you being successful and they talk behind your back, but in front of you, they'll say how great you are. And with this agent, she did nothing wrong. But here is the lesson to learn. There are agents that after you get executed with a buyer, that buyer is going to meet realtors that would have done maybe more of a rebate back. And they're going to come to you and ask for more. And you just got to be able to hold your ground and say, you know what? We made the decision already. I can't continue to evolve this commission program because you're meeting people that have less confidence in what they do. So they have to give you more of and that's basically what happened here, if that makes sense. So
super quick note, I gotta go. But I was gonna help her with the surveyor. I
I'll help her.
texted it to
I'm
you.
not leaving. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
All right, y'all have a great day.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm just going to, end with